Hey everybody, Jim the Tabletop Engineer here, and welcome to a new episode of the Tabletop Engineer. A few videos back, I made a prototype out of chipboard for a large-scale piece of terrain that I want to use in my D&D games and mainly my war games, especially the fantasy war games that I play. I'll put some links in the description below to those videos, but they're the most recent ones prior to this video, so you should be able to go find them. What I did there was I did the prototype because I wanted to sort of see what it looked like before I did any cutting of foam or painting or anything like that. It was just a way for me to get a good idea of what two players would see across the table from each other with this in front of them. It allowed me to look at like angles and places to hide and obstruct the view and things like that. It was real fun to make. It didn't take a lot of days. It did take a lot of hours, but it was enjoyable to make, and it was so enjoyable that I kept coming up with ideas for more of these large-scale terrain pieces. And so I have another one that I want to do. But what I want to talk to you about in this video is, in that previous video, I actually made a physical prototype, but you don't always have to do that. If you are somewhat familiar with something called CAD, Computer Aided Design, it's the special software that you can use to create 3D models on a computer. I think there is some CAD applications that will run on like an iPad or a tablet. But on your computer, or at least on my computer, I use one called Tinkercad, and you're going to see it in a minute as I show you how I sort of prototyped what I now have in my mind for my next piece of terrain, and I'll show you how I developed it in Tinkercad. It's very rough. It's not detailed. What it does is it allows me to sort of see visually and rotate it around and look at it from above and see and just get an idea of what I'm going for. This particular one does not need the level of detail in it that first prototype I made. So that's why I went with Tinkercad. So between that previous video with the prototype made out of chipboard and this video using Tinkercad, I hope you're going to see there are two ways, and there's probably more ways to do this, but these are the two ways that I personally would use when I want to create something that's fairly complex or large and I don't want to invest a lot of time up front. I want to see what's it going to look like before I put any time into the project. These are the two tools that I will probably be going to in the future. So this is going to be a pretty short video, and it's sort of the prelude to a series of videos. I'm hoping to do maybe 2 or 3 like the previous ones and get this thing done. So this will be the video in which I show you some screenshots of what I'm going to be doing. I'll show you some of the inspiration. Some of the ideas that I'm going to be doing for this came from video games and searches online for sketches and artists' renditions of things like that. So I have a lot of different places that I'm pulling from for different ideas, and I'll go through them in this video, and then hopefully when this thing is done and made, you'll be able to come back and watch this video and see bits and pieces and go, yeah, he got that from that video game, or he got that from that image. So let's get, instead of to the work table, let's go take a look at first Tinkercad, and then I'll show you some of the images that I'm going to use to flesh it out and make it look more realistic.
Each month, Bexham's Bizarre RPG and Wargaming magazine provides gamers with articles, props to print and cut out for players, mini adventures, new monsters, and much more. Look in the description below for details on how to get a few free issues so you can see what you're missing.
All right, I went into Tinkercad and basically created a grid that's 30 inches by 30 inches so that I'll be able to draw these various prototype platforms to scale. Now, I don't want each of the 4 platforms to be the same. They're not all going to be squares or what have you. So I just use some of the random shapes available in Tinkercad. Right here I'm using like an octagon. Later I'll use a triangle. These are not the actual shapes I plan on creating the platforms. It's just space, to give me a visual of what 4 different platforms would look like on the table. Now, the reason I want to sort of look at the collection of 4 was I actually thought about doing 3 platforms, but I think 4 is going to be the better number. But my question was, I want lava to be the base, the lowest level. So these 4 structures will be surrounded by lava. And I wanted to make sure there was enough visual portions of that base. And I think with what you can see here, with me adding these levels, there'll be, I'm guessing, it looks like maybe 20% of the space will be visible, so that I can paint it and customize it to look like lava. Now, it's very possible that when I make these 4 bases, I may find that I want more lava visible, and so I may shrink one or all of them, or maybe 2 or 3, who knows. So what I'm doing here for the last step is I'm just adding some visual walkways. I don't know what these will look like in the final design, but prototype wise, I just want to see, will they look right? So there'll be an angled one here, and in just a second you'll see that I make the 2 red blocks the same height. I want 2 levels to be the same height because I want to build a bridge between them, not an angled upwards bridge or downward bridge, but an even flat parallel with the lava surface below. So that's why I made 2 of them even. Will I do that in the final thing? I don't know, but I just wanted to see what it would look like on screen. And then I have this really large, the tallest structure, which will have another connector that will have to be angled. I don't know, will it be a set of steps? Will it be a wooden walkway? I don't know. I just wanted to see, overall what this thing would look like. And then I started playing around with like cutouts. And again, I left this part in the video just so you can see that I wasn't quite done here. My idea was maybe I'll make a secret entrance from the middle of the large structure to the lowest structure. But it's going to be hard to do that, especially if I make these out of foam. And my opponent may not want to reach their hand down in a tunnel, or it may not even be physically possible. So again, I was playing with all these ideas of making negative space to make things look visual. But ultimately, what I think will end up happening is I will create 4 levels, just as you see here. Nothing fancy about them. There won't be any special hidden features. They'll just be connected in unusual ways, and I think that will suffice. Now, in just a second, I'm going to show you some of my inspiration for where I'll be going with this. So this is an image I found online, and it's just too much gray. All the flooring is gray, the walls are gray, but it did give me an idea that I want 4 sections. So I have been playing with this game called Torchlight. And there's a special area in the game that you can see here where the ground is lava, and it's like these old ruins that are stone, and they're connected by bridges and walkways. And as soon as I saw this, I knew that this was going to be sort of the color scheme and look of what I was going for. Will it look exactly like this? Probably not, but it'll be close, mainly because I like the look of it. I like the natural stone on the outside of the structures. I like the tile pattern. I like the stairs and the statues. I like the red look to it. So I think this is ultimately going to be, it's going to be closer to this than that original gray structure. And here's some close-ups of the lava that will be, here's some close-ups of the lava that I will paint on the very first level, just to give you an idea of how the stone and the lava will look. Hopefully. Okay, so I hope now you see sort of where I'm going with this. I'm once again going to be using a 30-inch by 30-inch piece of a 1-inch thick foam. That will be the base, all right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the platforms at different levels. There's going to be a total of 4, just like you saw in the Tinkercad video. They won't be those primitive shapes like square and triangle and octagon. They'll be sort of unusual in the sense that I'll cut them out of foam first and sort of place them flat so I can see what they look like. And then, of course, these different levels will be built up using different methods so that there'll be bridges and crosswalks and things like that to connect them. So if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them. I do invite you to come join two Facebook groups. First is mine, the Tabletop Engineer. I frequently post photos and things like that of what I'm working on, but also all the members of that group, they share what they're doing. We post questions and discussions and things like that. The bigger group that I also want to invite you to is the Tabletop Crafters Guild. I'm one of the 6 guild masters of that group, and it is a 33,000 plus group now, and it's growing weekly by hundreds. And it is just a perfect place if you're interested in terrain making for your games, whether it's science fiction, horror, fantasy, whatever the genre. You can come there and discuss and share your projects and ask questions and things like that. So I do invite you to come join that one. Again, it's the Tabletop Crafters Guild, and all 6 of the guild masters, we welcome you to come join us there and tell us what you're working on and share some photos and videos and things like that. All right, that's it. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. I'll see you shortly with the next video. Take care.